Hello, I'm Amanda, and I'm a classically trained flute player who learned how to improvise from Anna. Actually, if you guys have been around here for a while, you might know the story. Anna and I became really close friends during the pandemic when we traded lessons. So she was teaching me improv lessons, and I was teaching her flute lessons. And through that, we basically were like, oh my gosh, like this is amazing. We should create a business together where we teach all of these things. And we did. And here we are. But anyway, I learned how to improvise from Anna, and I'm going to tell you why and how it benefited me. So, why I learned how to improvise. First of all, I was really bored with practicing. Like, I have been playing flute forever. I'm talking 20 plus years. And I just feel like I've been doing all the same technical exercises and I just wanted to do something different. Two, I wanted to play in more types of groups, play more types of music. For example, I have a flute and percussion ensemble, and we play classical music, and classical music takes a long time to rehearse. Think about all the time you spend in band, hours and hours and hours before the concert you spend playing one piece. With jazz and with improvisation, you don't have to do as much practicing. You could just like show up and play a gig with a couple of lead sheets without having to do tons and tons of rehearsals first. So I actually saw it as a bit of a money earning potential for me, because if I knew how to improvise, I could play more pieces, more popular music, and do more types of performances, which is true. My flute and percussion duo does do more casual performances. We do less rehearsing, and we're breaking into like corporate gigs now and stuff because we have all of this jazz music to play. I wanted to enjoy playing music. So the thing about playing classical music is you have to just play everything that's on the page, play it perfectly. You're concerned about getting all the notes, getting all the rhythms, getting all of the dynamics, getting all of the articulations, playing with the metronome, playing loud enough like in the group, playing quiet enough in the group. There's like all of these variables you have to cover, and it just feels like a little intense, if you know what I mean. It feels a little intense to have to follow all of the rules. And I just wanted to enjoy playing my flute and enjoy music and not have to worry about following all the rules all the time. So that's another reason why I wanted to learn improv. And also, this is not to, disparage anyone who loves classical music, but when I was working with Anna and she would just create these beautiful melodies out of nowhere and improvise these gorgeous riffs with, Frank Sinatra songs that I wanted to play, it honestly made me feel like I wasn't much of a musician, if you know what I mean. You actually might know what I mean, some of you. But I'm somebody who can play a Mozart concerto with an orchestra and it sounds great, whatever. But when I'm at a party and somebody says, hey, can you play like Million Dollar Baby on the flute? Because, you've been studying flute forever and I want to hear that song. I felt like people would ask me that all the time. Friends of mine who like aren't as familiar with classical music at gigs, people would want to hear more popular tunes. And I would just kind of shy away from it and be like, oh, I don't feel like doing it right now. And the reason I didn't do it was because I don't know how to. Just pulling Million Dollar Baby out of nowhere and playing it alone on the flute, like, how am I supposed to do that? I don't have the sheet music. I didn't practice it. I can't just come up with it on the spot. And basically, I was done having that excuse. I wanted to be able to do that sort of thing. Hold on, my space heater turned on. It's really loud. Okay, so For all of those reasons, I started taking improv lessons with Anna. I wanted to be more of a musician. I wanted to play popular music that people liked. I wanted to be able to do more gigs. I wanted to have fun with my music. And I was really nervous about learning improvisation because it's so different than what I'm used to. But Anna is a very encouraging teacher. She is super helpful. She understands what it's like doing the transition from classical to jazz because she's an expert in both styles of music herself. She has this very unique perspective. It's not like somebody who only does jazz is going to start like telling you to play like Neapolitan seventh chords and all of this like crazy hard stuff. That's not how she is. She's very much meeting you where you are, which is playing whatever music you're playing and bringing you to be more creative and free in your music. So, anyway, improv really helped me. It really helped me in ways I wasn't expecting. So I just wanted to share a few of those. So first things first is it really, really helped train my ears. I'm somebody who doesn't have perfect pitch. I have relative pitch, meaning that when I hear a flute playing, I can tell what notes that they're playing. But when I hear a piano playing, can't tell. I think it's because I play the flute and I recognize like the different like timbres of like different pitches or whatever. But after I started this improv journey, I started to notice myself hearing a lot more music more easily. So now I can identify, I have perfect pitch for not everything, but I have perfect pitch for flute players, saxophone players, clarinet players, piano. So if I hear any of those instruments playing and strings, I can do strings too. If I hear any instruments playing, I can tell what notes they are. I have perfect pitch for like actual instruments. When it comes to electronic music, I still am not like absolutely perfect at that. But like honestly, truly, before I started learning improv, I was just perfect pitch when it came to flutes. It wasn't anything else. So it's really trained my ears a lot. I can sing in lessons without having to like practice first. It's just been incredible. It also improved my technique because I started practicing arpeggios with sevenths in them. I remember I had a friend who went to Eastman, and they had all of these assignments at Eastman where they did like dominant seventh scales up and down, whatever. And I remember thinking like, I need to be practicing those. And I never did. But I started practicing them when I was learning improv because I was practicing, building up my library. We talked about this in the class, building up my library of different riffs and patterns and things like that. And it just really improved my technique a lot. And I wasn't as bored either. It was fun. I could practice at that music stand. I could practice the same arpeggio over and over again. I could practice for just like 5 minutes technique and then put it away. And I still improved a lot because I was having to think so, I had to be so aware of what I was doing, if that makes sense. When you start learning to play music that's not written down, it gets your brain working in a different sort of way. And I know it seems kind of hard to play music that's not written down, but it's as simple as this, okay? Play C, E, and G, and let's add in a B flat on top of that. C, E, G, and B flat. You can even write down like those letters, C, E, G, and B flat. And then just practice different patterns of these notes. Da, 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 da. Whatever sort of patterns that Anna's teaching about at the time. It's not as hard as it seems, just to throw that out there. But yeah, improv improved my ear. It improved my technique. And it made it possible for me to have this very unique job at a cathedral. So let me tell you about that. For the past 2 years, I have been in a contemporary ensemble at a cathedral for contemporary mass. So that was like a 9:15 a.m. mass, and then regular mass is at 11. But for contemporary mass, they had a small ensemble. So it was flute, violin, and piano. And I don't know if any of you have been to a contemporary mass, but that style of music is very specific. It's like Christian music that is more like popularized just a little bit, or it's not like your like heavy like Bach anthem whatever things. It's just like a little bit lighter. But it's a very narrow genre. And because it was such a narrow genre, the director didn't have music for me. So I improvised flute parts off of vocal scores. So I would get a part that was for 4-part voice, and I would just improvise flute melodies to go with each piece. And each week, the pieces changed and I would have to improvise new parts. It was always on the spot. And I would not have been able to do that if I hadn't learned how to improvise. I'm serious. I would have been fired on day one if I didn't know how to do that. So all in all, like, I am so glad I learned improv. I wish I had learned it in college, but it's never too late. It was a lot easier than I thought it would be. And honestly, it's just been so much fun to be more creative. I feel like more of a musician now. If somebody asks me to play a pop song, I can play it. I can listen to it, identify the notes, and then I can play it and improvise to it. And it's not hard for me to do that anymore. I don't need to rely on sheet music. I can be more versatile in my playing and just have more fun. So anyway, I highly recommend that you learn how to improvise if you do not know how, or if any of these things that I'm talking about seem like they would help you or be interesting to you. I would highly, highly recommend you check it out. So that is the end of my spiel for today, and I will see you guys soon.